draw so far. How would you sum up the campaign so far?
Well, I think we're going into the games next week knowing that we still have a chance of finishing second in the group, which potentially could give us a playoff for the European Championships. We're a tough group. Ukraine, of course, look strong favourites to win the group. They've been amazing, really, Ukraine, considering all they've gone through, and terrific players. They've shown their quality overall. So they've got to play Scotland twice, which is interesting. But we've got to look after ourselves. We've got a tough game, obviously, in Hampden against Scotland. And then we go and play Armenia here, obviously, which we're looking forward to.
And one of the 2016 Euros heroes, Robbie Brady, back in the squad, first time since March 2021.
Yeah, no, it's 18 months out of the squad for Robbie, and probably, if he is one of our better players for sure, all things being equal, but things haven't been equal for him because his body has let him down frequently, and that's been most unfortunate. And it's just good to see him. He's not in. He's only in on absolute merit. It's not in because we do admire him as a player and the talent that he possesses, but he's in because his performances for Preston have been different, really, for a left wing back. Like, he offers you different things. Very creative passer from that position, quality crossing, and just sees things so early. And he has played well in that position to date this season. I've been a few times to see Preston, obviously, and I've enjoyed his performances.
And the last one for me, just to ask about Michael Buchanan. He hasn't featured in the last two squads for Swansea City. Have you spoken to him, or do you know what the situation is there?
Yeah, I've spoken to Michael, and like everything else, there's two sides or three sides to every story, and certainly Michael wants to play football. He wants to play football, wants to play for Swansea. So obviously he's been omitted from the last couple of squads after the deadline day bids and so forth. It's not ideal. We want our players coming in good form. So it's just one of those things. I'm sure he'll be back playing shortly, and we're delighted to have him in the squad because I've got to see him. We've watched him a few times this season, and he's played well. He's been at the level that he finished off last season. Okay, maybe that's not been translated into the goals, but I seen him against Blackpool where he ran 60 yards. He was right in on goal, right to win the game, and just unselfishly laid it off to Oliver Incham to score to win the game, and then scored a great goal against Millwall. So he has done some good things, and his form has been good overall.
David? Hey Stephen, just on the three lads that came back in, obviously you mentioned there Robbie, but also Andrew and Callum. They've both been through quite difficult times over the last while with injury. Andrew's getting back playing now. What does it say about their character over the last while and what they've had to come through?
Yeah, well, particularly Callum, because again, Callum is talented, left-footed, direct dribbler, but has not been able to get a run of games with his previous club, Bristol City, and his hamstring he got a really bad hamstring injury and reoccurred, and very difficult period for Callum. So he's been through a lot because he's had a few false dawns where he's come back and looked like he was getting back, and then it went again. And sometimes you get that with explosive players, and so Callum has been through a lot. He's obviously moved to Cardiff and started the season well and played in 3 different positions. Played on the right wing, played on the left wing, played actually 4 different as a left back in one and as a wing back. So he's quite a versatile player, Callum, and I would hope that he'd be potentially someone that's important. A significant player for us in the qualifications for the European Championships between March and November. I would hope that Callum would be involved.
And Andrew, like, he seems to have really impressed back getting into the team with Norwich after that injury as well.
Yeah, Andrew, I think for Andrew it's different because when you're a young player and you've never been injured, it's new. It's new, it's uncharted territory, and it's a stress fracture as well in your back, or potential stress fracture. So that's creates uncertainty, and so that was a long period out for Andrew. He burst on the scene, had a really exceptional start to his international career. He only had 7 league games played when we played him against Portugal, and he didn't disappoint, and we knew what we were getting, and he really excelled in those performances that he played in. But obviously that set him back somewhat, but he's been an ever-present in the Norwich team at the start of the season, and they're going well, and he's performing to a good level.
With Queevy, obviously he's not in the squad, but we've had discussions over the last while with Liverpool, obviously there's been the injury after the last campaign, and obviously you were up top. Like, have you had a chat with him to see what the story is there?
I think with Queevy, and listen, in regard, if Queevy tweaks something in the game against Ukraine, it wasn't evident by his performance. Like, he performed very well in the game, done everything really well, and actually, I honestly wasn't aware of him being injured at that time.
And not being included in this squad, is that injury still there? Is that prevalent?
Yeah, well, obviously he trained with Liverpool, and when he went back in pre-season and got injured, but certainly it was something that we weren't aware of. But the good thing is, anyway, he's making good progress and is back soon, very soon, and should be back for the next camp for sure.
So the last one would have to be, was it even felt the need maybe had a chat with Jurgen Klopp about that, the fact that there was a bit of a back and forth just to clear that up?
No, I haven't spoken to Jurgen Klopp, but the medical teams have been in constant contact, and so that's been evident.
Next question in the live section, if you want to raise your hands. Or if there's no further questions in the live section, we can move to the embargo. David?
Just on that, Stephen, I mean, would you be not anxious, but just kind of hopeful that you would clarify if there's been any misunderstanding with Liverpool? Because we've seen before with Everton a fraught relationship developed in terms of player availability and history in Ireland. There's a little bit with that with clubs and miscommunications. Is it important to just tie that down and get both of the clubs, Liverpool and Ireland, on the same level in this?
Yeah, listen, I think, as you know, Dr. Alan Bourne, this is his last game, obviously, and been involved, great reputation, been involved in over 200 internationals. So, they always write medical notes on every injury, and always write extensive medical notes on every injury. So we have no medical notes on Queevy from the last camp. You know that kind of way. There's no medical notes. So it's he obviously, if he did tweak it, we sort of weren't aware of it. And he played well in the game, played terrifically well in the game. It's just one of those things that we'll all move on. Like, it's not, he obviously got injured in training when he went back, and it's one of those things that it's unfortunate. But I'm sure he's nearly back. I believe he's nearly back and making good progress. So hopefully, it's unfortunate for Queevy and himself.
We're having a chat with Jurgen just to kind of, close it down and be able to move on instead of having.
I'm sure we're fine. I'm sure it's not. There's no disharmony there. I'm sure.
Final question on the live.
I'm sure we're all like we've great respect for Liverpool. I'm sure that's not an issue.
So I got a hat-trick last night. Obviously, had a pretty good start to the season with Burton. Yeah, pleased. Obviously, he's in your squad as well. So, are you pleased with his start to the season?
Yeah, I think. And what a hat-trick last night. Like, they were absolutely 3 goals were excellent, really top-class goals. I must say, Scott wasn't in the Birmingham team regularly when, towards the end of last season, he had periods where he was out of the team, and then we had a 5-week gap between the championship finishes and our first game in the group. So that had its challenges for Scott, and obviously he had a goal sort of chalked off, if you like, against Scotland. It was over the line, not given. But against Ukraine, he played 50-odd minutes, but certainly he wasn't at the level then, probably physically, than he is now. He's at a much different level now physically, because he's had a full pre-season, and under John Eustace, he has been sort of the main man at Birmingham. And even though he got 2 goals going into last night, his work rate and the threat he was causing in a team that were, before they had their recent signings just in the team, they were struggling in the early part of the season, but he was still a focal point. And obviously I've been to see them a couple of times, and I seen him scored against Norwich obviously last week in in the game, and 2 weeks ago in the game in St Andrews, and that's probably one of the best nights of his career, I'd say. Getting a hat-trick in a derby like that, in the Midlands derby, and I'm sure I spoke to him actually yesterday, which I wouldn't normally do on a match day, but spoke to him yesterday just to let him know that he was in the squad, and he obviously, it was a terrific performance last night for them to get the 3 goals.
Okay, we're moving to the embargoed section now, so if you want to raise your hand if you want to ask the first question of the embargoed section. Thank you very much, Philip.
Just a point of order, Stephen. The injury to Queenie Keller, was it in the second Ukraine game? Was it match in Poland? That only got the tweak.
Well, I'm not aware of, but it seems that that seems to be what was relayed back, but we didn't. That wasn't conveyed.
Nathan Collins has done very well in the Premier League, moving within the Premier League to Wolves. How can he stop Hallam on Saturday?
Right.
And is that the perfect test for the international matches coming up?
Right. No, Nathan has obviously took everything in his stride, and it's been very impressive the way he's done that. And it's a big challenge, of course, taking on Manchester City and Holland, and it's another step in his development, because he's played some, a high number of games now for one so young. He was playing at Stoke and at Burnley, and obviously he seems to be a firm fixture in Wolves' team, which is terrific for any of our Irish players to be playing in the Premier League. That's ideally what we'd want, and he's shown the quality to do that. So it's a big challenge against Man City. So I'm sure I think he obviously didn't play against Holland before, but that's a new experience for him, and I'm sure he'll relish the challenge.
Thank you. I'll come back.
John?
Yeah, that's cool. Stephen, is there any news on your assistant?
No news in that regard. I think obviously Keith Andrews is my assistant, and we've worked together for a number of years now, from the under-21 team to the senior international team. So the Dean Quiley, obviously, it's only a 2-game window. It's not the window was 4 games, and normally 3-game window. So it's a 2-game window. Myself, Keith, Dean, and Stephen Rice will actually step up in this window and supplement the coach and staff. So we're going with that for this window.
And just on Michael there, that's not an ideal situation. If there's only 1 game left before he assemble, does he have to feature in that to have a chance?
It's not that he's been out for a long time. He's only missed last week, So I wouldn't say he has to feature in it. I wouldn't say it's black and white as that, but it isn't. I would prefer him playing, coming in match fit. Obviously, he did very well when he was in, and I thought his performance for Swansea, the end of last season and the start of this season, are very good. So we would have preferred not to have this situation. We would have preferred him coming in good form, good relations, all that kind of stuff. But life sometimes football presents these problems, and this is one of those.
And just one sort of related to that, if your 3 experienced defenders, Matt, Shane, and Shane hardly played, like, does that again have jeopardise their ability to start with Seamus? Like, he's played a League Cup game and that's it.
Yeah, all 3. It's not an ideal situation again. The 3 players with a lot of experience who are very important to us, and they've proved themselves consistently over a number of years. And you want players playing matches. It's difficult not to play and then step up. It is difficult to do that when you don't play for a long period. So that is not an ideal situation, and one that we just have to have a look at and reflect on when we see everyone in the window and training and so forth.
Olen?
Thanks. Stephen, just to follow up on that, the fact that the younger lads like Andrew has come in and done really well, both for Ireland and for the club, Nathan, Dara, are you looking at maybe changing the sort of age profile of your defence now, so you have really good options?
I'm not particularly looking to do that. I think like we've obviously introduced a lot of players in 18 months, and a lot of players have come through the system, and I think that what that's done is increased our options in a lot of positions. And now that we've got competition for places and formulating a squad now for the European Championships, and this, so whoever plays, we're not looking to make changes. Whoever's in form or whoever we feel is right for that particular game will play. But Seamus, Shane and Matt all have important contributions to make to this team, and at sometimes at their club they're just one injury away from getting back in, and they can get sustained runs in their club teams. Sometimes that happens, you know. It's just obviously for different reasons. Seamus and Matt, to be honest, their injuries sort of impacted their pre-seasons and start the season, so they weren't really available up to the first game of the season. So that impacted their ability to compete for a place. With Shane, it was obviously a loan move, and he's gone to Fulham, and they persisted with the two centre backs that got them up and are doing well. So it's difficult. You just have to sit and wait and see how that materialises.
With basically apart from his goal, the last day with his overall performance, hardly leave him out now, can you? What he's done since for Wolves as well.
Yeah, no, Nathan's been very, very good, and playing to a very high level, and you get the feeling he's only going to get better. That's, you know, I think that's the feeling, because his attitude is good, and he has good values and good high level of professionalism and some leadership qualities. So you do feel that Nathan is only going to get better in his career.
David?
Yeah, Stephen, just on Matt Doherty, James Coleman, right wing back. Jason Knight has played at right back for Derby. He's kind of played as a number 10 or a midfielder. For you, is that something you can see going forward, that maybe play there as well?
He can play there, and you know, Jason's a versatile player, but I would prefer, you know, it would be preferential for us if he was playing higher up the pitch. We think that he's had an impact on international level as an attacking midfield player. He's got so much energy, inventive spirit, his ability to press high, his ability to take the ball on the half turn, his dribbling ability, and he's getting better. You felt he was getting better for us, and so he had a good window himself in the last window, and performed very well as an attacking midfield player. So that's what we see him as. So we don't want to sort of him to be inhibited playing right back for a period, not stifling his creative instincts or stifling his ability to play in attacking midfield play. So I don't think he sees his future at right back, and we don't really either. But I understand that needs must at every club, and every club manager has to make the best decision for himself. I respect that.
Yeah, just, and to that, did you have any conversation with him during the summer about he was linked with a move away for his development? Was his development stifled that right back, or would you be fair to say that he's just playing week in, week out at League One?
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation, and like everything else, you never really know unless you have a real inside track. You never really know how close he was to moving. You know, there was a lot of speculation. In the end, it didn't happen for him, and he likes Derby as a club. He started very young there, and you know, it's been good for him. He's played a huge amount of games for one so young, but we see him as someone who can impact the game as an attacking midfield player. Definitely, we see him as that.
Final question, Philip.
Sorry, but James McLean has been a constant in your squad. I think he's probably played as many games, if not more than anybody else. There's 94 caps now, Stephen. This is like the start of the new international season, September through June. Do you see him getting to 100?
Well, again, you can't guarantee anybody anything. You know, still you never know what way football will go, and you can't. It'd be premature to suggest that. I know he's very determined. I know it's his personal goal. You know, he's a huge ambition to do that, and he's playing in a Wigan team. Obviously, he's performing. He's played a lot of matches. You know, he's always in the team. He's always declared fit, and so it's a competitive area for us. Obviously, a lot of players in the championship playing, Enda Stevens, Ryan Manning, and Robbie Brady coming into the forward, and also Callum O'Dowd has played there as well. So it's a competitive area, and he had to learn that position himself, having always been a left winger. So he had to adapt, which he has adapted. So it's I'm sure he wants to continue to play, and you know there are never any guarantees, and James would never expect there to be guarantees. So it's still some distance away.
Okay, thanks guys. For the Sunday sessions, the sit's tight for the time being. I'm just going to set up the room and I'll come grab you in about 2-3 minutes. Okay, thank you very much.